What's up everybody? This video is called Neglected Projects, and it's basically about two of my toys that I have kind of let sit for a little bit longer than I should have, which is my 1967 Mustang that I've owned for coming up on 13 years and my 1986 Yamaha G1 golf cart. So first let's get this thing washed up, and then I'm going to tell you what the plan is with the Mustang, everything that's wrong with it, and what I'm going to be doing to it on the channel as the years go on. So here she is. Why has my Mustang not been on the channel? Why is this its first appearance is the first question. Well, about a year ago, I took it to work. And when I took it to work, it went fine on the way there. But on the way back, it blew several oil leaks. It blew an oil, or not an oil cooler line, it blew one of the transmission cooler lines, and I had to add a quart of oil to it halfway home, and I had to put 2 quarts of transmission fluid in it on the way home. I had to stop at one point and re-top off the transmission fluid because it was going through it so fast. And then when I finally did get home, I know my barn's a mess, when I finally did get home, there was a red line of fluid going into the barn where it was parked. And it was really heartbreaking because I had just broken my collarbone and gotten surgery and gotten put back together. And I kind of put it back together and said, you know what, I'm going to drive it to work, because I've always wanted to drive this car to work, and I usually don't, because it's a fully built 302 with 351 Windsor heads, oversized valves, a huge cam, flat top pistons, and I have to run a mix of avgas and premium to keep it from detonating. Which, since I've done that, it's gotten a lot quieter because it's not detonating anymore. But I finally took it to work after going through collarbone surgery and after everything else, and then it had all these issues. And also, the right front brake came apart. So I have no more brakes on the right front. Like, nothing happens when you push the pedal. I don't know if the piston locked up or if the springs came apart inside there. I'm not sure, because it does still have the drum brakes on it. And then something came loose in this brake, and that brake started dragging incessantly. So my plan now is to fix it to the point where I can drive it again and enjoy a couple of car show seasons. So what does that mean? I need to fix the transmission leaks. I need to fix all of the oil leaks, which means the engine may have to come out. And then I also am going to upgrade the front brakes and at least put front disc brakes on it. I'm probably going to put something cheap that I can eventually resell, like Granada brakes, because I do have some big build plans coming for this. And then same thing, I need to rebuild the rear brakes so that I have good brakes underneath it, fix the transmission leaks, and then I'll have a good engine and transmission setup. But the long-term goal for the car is this. So like I said, I have owned the car for 13 years, and I built it as a project with my dad in high school. When I bought it, it had an 0200 straight 6 in it on a C4 automatic transmission, and had all the original 6-cylinder driveline and suspension, which means 4-lug rear axle and 4-lug front spindles. So we put 69 Boss 302 Mustang front brakes on it. I think they're 9.5-inch drums on the front to get to 5-lug on the front, and then we put a 68 fastback rear end in it to put 5 lugs on the rear, which means we also had to change the springs and everything else. And we went through the whole process of getting a bell housing for a 302, which is really hard, apparently. At least getting a bell housing that matches a C4, because everybody does the change. They're in really high demand. They're kind of hard to find. But we did eventually get that done. We repainted it. It was sky blue, and I redid the interior. Well, now, in the future, what I would like to do is go to a Rod and Custom front suspension, which is a Mustang 2 front suspension. It relocates your springs and everything, where they're now on the lower control arm instead of the upper control arm, and you can shave your strut towers. My wiring harness is in a terrible condition, so I am going to rebuild this car with aircraft methods and aircraft tools and aircraft stuff, which really is not special. A lot of people like to say it's aircraft sheet metal or it's aircraft this, and all it means is it's AN or it's MS parts and hardware, which is good, but it doesn't really mean anything special to me because I work with it every day. But I'm going to build my own aircraft harness for this using aircraft methods, like I said. So I'm going to relocate the battery to the trunk. I am going to rewire the ignition and everything to a master bus, and from there I will have circuit breakers for all of the individual systems and grounds for all of the individual systems, because as it is now, nothing works. Occasionally the blower motor will come on, occasionally the blinkers works, the speedometer works because that's mechanical, but none of the engine gauges work. The lights work most of the time, and it's just not safe. It's just not safe to drive outside of being in the day, and I've been caught out in it at night a couple of times, and I've had to use a flashlight to look at the gauges because none of the gauge lights work either. So I am going to rewire it with a new wiring harness that I'm going to build, and I'll probably do that before I ever swap the engine, and probably before I do the front suspension. But I also want to go to a 9-inch forward rear end with a better gear and a 4-link with coilovers in the rear as well as coilovers in the front on the Rod and Custom front end, with probably 11-inch or 12-inch wheel wood disc brakes all the way around. Why am I putting all of this suspension and brakes underneath it? Well, for a long time I've wanted to go back to the straight 6 engine, but I don't want an 0200 straight 6 because, don't get me wrong, they're good engines, but they don't make a lot of power. And Fast and Furious always kind of inspired me to put an RB26 or an RB25 in it. I thought even at one point about building an RB30 or an RB31 and putting independent throttle bodies and going completely NA on it, but I don't think I want to do that anymore. I think I've grown as a person and I'd like to keep it forward. So I would like to get a Barra engine out of a Falcon or something from Australia. I'm probably going to go ahead and keep an automatic transmission just because it came with an automatic, and I'd like my wife to be able to drive it whenever she needs to drive it. Well, she doesn't need to drive it very often, but I would like her to be able to drive it should she want to. So I don't know that I'm going to go to a manual transmission in the Mustang. I already have a manual transmission in my Miata, and that's a lot more fun to drive around and drive aggressively. So it's going to be a lot of work. I'm going to show you everything that's wrong with the car. I, at some point, am going to have to address the rust in this car. There's rust under here, there's rust here, there's rust in a couple other places that's nowhere near as bad. I do need to redo the floor pans. We had redone the floor pans at one point. You can see there's also rust in this door. I'd like to grind all of that out and replace it. And then also, not sure if you can see up there, but my cowl is completely gone, and my interior, if you're looking at my interior, is garbage. So maybe before when I do any of the swaps, I would like to fully restore this interior to its original condition, which was actually the aqua interior. It had an aqua turquoise on all of the metal. It had blue carpet. It had a aqua headliner, aqua panels here, and it was just really pretty. But I was a teenager and I didn't like it because, of course, you're a teenager and you want everything aggressive. And now that I'm older, I would like to go back to that. I would like to add air conditioning, and I would like to make this a really fun car to drive and something that's somewhat reliable. But I can't afford to do those things yet. So in the meantime, I'm going to fix the rust, probably prime those areas, and wrap it a different color because the paint is also ruined. It sat at my parents' house for a lot of years while I was establishing my life. And if you look in places, I don't know if it's going to come out, if you look in places all over, you can see where the birds got to it and the birds pooped on it. And because they pooped on it, it ate down into the paint because it's not clear. It's acrylic enamel. It ate down into the paint and it ruined the paint. So I'll probably wrap it for a little while, drive it for a little while, enjoy it, and then I'll do the brake conversions on it, the front suspension conversions, drive it for a little while, enjoy it, and then that engine is coming out. Well, maybe not. Maybe I'll do the interior first, and then I'll take the engine out and I'll do a Barra swap. I have seen a couple people that have done them. They've already done Barra swaps to this before. It's nothing new. It comes up to about here, so you got plenty of room inside the engine bay for it. It will fit. There's people that have done it without taking the strut towers out. There's people that have done it with leaving them in, so it'll fit either way. Now for my other little project. This is my 1986 Yamaha G1 golf cart. Here's what I'm going to do to this: sand it and repaint it. Outside of that, it's done. This golf cart, and why I love it so much, we bought it from a guy. It was his grandmother's. He repainted it. He sort of restored it, put the boat seats in it and whatnot. And anyways, they were getting a bigger golf cart or something else, and he decided to sell it. So me and the wife bought it for $2,000, and it has sat in the barn for about 6 months. We just haven't driven it we've done other things. We haven't needed it. But today I pulled out the Mustang, so I wanted to pull it out. And here's what I had to do to get it running today. I turned the key on, I put it in reverse and pulled the choke, and it took right off. So this thing has yet to let me down. It's been incredibly reliable, and I love the little golf cart. We have nicknamed her Miss Daisy because she quite literally putts, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is what it sounds like when you drive it. Putt, 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 putt. Anyway, so my plans for this are pretty much just to repaint it and keep it nice. You might see it out on the channel occasionally in the background, but I'd like to take it to the airport. I'd like to get a little trailer and take it to the airport and make some videos out there with the airport. But this is my little golf cart. We bought it for my wife as a gift a little while ago, and it just goes to show you that they don't always make them like they used to, because after sitting for 8 months, I was expecting to have to jack it up and clean the carburetor and clean the fuel tank and do all kinds of other stuff, and it just starts right up and goes. So I don't know that I'll ever get rid of this little golf cart. I love this little thing, and I will drive it till the wheels fall off. But there you go, everybody. I know this was kind of just a talking video and a me working on my stuff video, but if you think the Mustang content might be interesting, stick around for it. I'm going to be making it regardless. But like I said, I'm going to try to keep my channel aircraft related. So you will see these videos outside of Wednesdays. Wednesday is always going to be an aircraft video, but Saturday may be something on the Mustang or on the golf cart or the Miata or whatever it be. Maybe, just depends on what I'm working on. But as y'all always know the drill, like, comment, subscribe, stick around for all of this fun adventure, and y'all be easy.